thanks again for joining me in this campaign. I hope you guys will have a lot of fun. I've been working really hard to try to craft something story-wise that you'll enjoy, and hopefully something combat and adventure-wise you also have a lot of fun with. So, just to give you a little bit of a few things that you should know, I am very big on role-playing and storytelling in my campaigns, and so one of the things that I do that helps with determining experience at the end of the game, at the end of the session, is that you will all be given an opportunity to provide each of the other players with experience based on how well you think they role played. So I will give you a pool of, let's say I might say 500 XP to divvy up beyond to the rest of the players. You can be like, I give this person 150, I give that person 150, and I give the last person 200, or however you want to divide it up as far as how well you thought that person role played. So just thought I would give you that as a heads up so you know that that's coming. The other thing that I like to do at the beginning of every session is I will ask you a warm-up question. The warm-up question is pretty much designed to try to get you guys to ask yourselves questions about your character that you might not necessarily have thought about or really give much consideration. For today's warm-up, I'm just going to keep it really simple. We're just going to go around the room, and I want you to tell us whatever you wanted to divulge. I don't know how much you want to keep a secret, but as much as you want of the following: your class of choice, your background/race of choice, and why you chose that background and or class.
So, I chose warrior.
Surprise.
Yeah. That surprised no one, I think.
Yeah.
I was thinking about going for either a totally different character than I'm not used to playing, or one that I know I like. So I chose a warrior. I am a Ferelden.
Mm-hmm.
At least for most of my life. So Ferelden, what's it called again? Ferelden
Freeman or something? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ferelden
Yes.
Freeman.
Yeah.
I could probably mention that I'm also a watchman.
You're also
So,
a watchman.
God, yeah.
That's important. Was there a specific reason you wanted to be a watchman?
I was going for the Law and Order kind of character.
Surprise, surprise.
Again, surprise no one.
Yeah.
I playing as a Orlesian Circle mage.
Or Legion Circle Mage.
I guess part of the reason it was, but I think it was like I didn't want to not hear people hear a complete difference when I'm talking the way I am now, considering the setting, because it'd just be like I'll get lazy and just talk the way I always do. So
Okay.
so I just thought it'd be something different to do, so I chose Orlesian. And I like mages and all that and stuff. So I thought I'd start something fun.
I am a rogue Talvishoth. Although I was a Talvishoth not intentionally, I was originally planned to be raised as a Kunari, but complications ended up in me being separated from the original group, so now I was raised not under the Kun, so I am considered a Talvishoth then, I guess.
Okay.
Actually, I'm sorry. I just hate when I have to say things like
ahead.
Are you rejecting the Kun, or you just don't know about it? Because if you're rejecting...
I just don't know about it yet.
Alright, then you're just a Valshoth, and you can be saved according to the Kunari.
Oh, okay.
You can still be
then-
saved.
I can still be saved. So it's just a Veshoth then, not the Tal in front of it?
Yes, Tal means true grey one.
True great one. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm just a Velshoth.
He's a Veshoth.
then.
Yep, you're just grey.
Veshoth.
Thank you.
Okay. let
Thank
me
you for
change
specifying
then.
that for us, Ray.
Quickly, the reason why I chose Rogue is that I was basing it on the fact that I assumed no one else was going to pick Rogue.
That was my second
And,
yeah.
choice. Was my second choice.
Never crossed my mind.
Well, then I'm glad I am a Rogue then.
All right, and last but not least, Shally, go ahead.
Playing a mage, there's no surprise there. The surprise comes from the fact that I actually chose the apostate background. So I'm playing
Apostate.
an elf.
Okay.
Originally from Kirkwall.
Originally from Kirkwall. Mm-hmm.
And They pretty much just are constantly on the run, and I think I chose what I did because I like playing mages, but I wanted to do something radically different from what I'm normally like this, you know, good mage with all the healing, and I wanted to kind of stay away from the healing magic and try to do something different, so. And I'm
Cool.
playing a male, so there we go with that.
And Shally's also playing a male. There's no
Yes.
females in our party. I'm really sad, but it's okay. It happens.
I was just close to playing a female, but I ended up going with male, and I was like,
And then he
Second,
found out
like,
I was playing a
am
male.
I
and he
usually in a
was
game?
like,
There was always one other person that played female and whatnot. Actually, the last time I played the game was half guys and
I
half
think-
girls.
I
Everyone
think-
played as a female. It was like WTF.
I don't personally mind. I think I'll survive the sausage fest. So, all right. So let's start. So, let us begin. The year is 910 in the Age of the Dragon. For those of you at home, that is 20 years before the Fifth Blight, the blight that a lot of you out there know very well from Dragon Age's origin. 20 years prior to that, in which two Grey Wardens managed to unite the nation against the Archdemon. It is also 8 years after the rebellion, led by Prince Merrick, managed to drive out the Orlesians from Ferelden, thus allowing him to reclaim the throne as king. All things considered, Ferelden finds itself in a peaceful state. Now, one of the things you guys are going to find out really quickly is I'm not the kind of DM who likes to start a campaign where all of you guys just happen to meet in a bar and then...
right, yeah.
Because that's cliche and overdone. So instead, I'm going to start the campaign this way. Everyone roll initiative. Right now, roll initiative.
Oh, boy.
Was that 1d100? 1d100?
I believe initiative roll is a 3d6 plus your
Plus your dex. isn't it?
dex, whatever
Okay.
your dex value. All right. I think regardless of whether you add your modifier or not, I think it looks like Ray won that. So we're gonna start with Ray, and we're gonna jump around. Okay. So Ray, we are now in Orlais.
Fantastic.
You are in the circle called the White Spire. People at home who have read Dragon Age Asunder knows a lot about the White Spire in Orlais. You are how old again, Ray?
I'm
17? 17.
Yes.
And you had completed your harrowing about a year or two ago?
About a year and a half, about some
A year and a half ago. All right. You find yourself in a very unfamiliar place, and you feel really dizzy, a little disoriented. Things in your head are clouded, and there are these very muted images that keep flashing in your mind, and you can't really make out what the images are or what they mean. You try to struggle really hard to try to make out something that makes sense to you, but the only thing you can manage to do as you focus is you hear whispering. But you can't quite make out what the whispers are saying yet. They seem distant yet close at the same time. What do you do, or how do you react?
My character would just start like this, and this feeling is so... I must sit down.
Okay.
Ugh.
You
Is there a place to sit?
Yeah, there's a place to sit. It looks like you're in some sort of a plain, a field of some sort, and the field around you, as you sit down, you feel moist, and you are a little startled by it. You look down, and you notice that as you went to sit down, your hand touched something really sticky. And you look up and you can see the scarlet that's in your hand. It's blood. You look around you and it seems like you're in the middle of some sort of a battlefield that had recently occurred, probably within the last 24 hours. There's bodies everywhere, and the entire place smells of death.
Well, see. Where am I?
The whispers start to get a little bit clear. The whispers start to get a little clear, and it starts saying, "You must stop it. You must stop it. You must stop it. You must end it. You must end it. You must end it." That's all that you can make out. And you're not really sure where the voice is coming from. The voice sounds familiar, though. Like at the edge of your head, you can kind of remember, but you don't, no matter how hard you strain. What do you do?
I get back up and start looking around.
Suddenly, you start to look around, and as you do, you hear another voice. This one clearly female. The voice is calling out your name. How do you pronounce your name, Ray?
Guinale.
Guinale? The voice is saying Guinale.
And saying that with a weirdly Spanish accent for some reason. Hold on. Guinale. Yeah.
Guinale. Guinale.
My friends.
Is calling to you. Somebody's calling to you. And you're not really sure where the source is. You turn around one more time, and the voice is plain as day, clear, and you hear a snapping. Somebody's snapping their fingers in front of your face, and you just shake it off, and all of a sudden, you're awake. You are back in the Circle Mage Tower, and one of your best friends, Jody, is in front of you. For all of the rest of you guys, let me move you guys over so that you know what's going on.
I got a picture of my character if you guys want, kind of. It's a rough draft.
Yeah, can you show that to us?
It's on paper. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That is way better than I can do.
If
Nice.
you want,
No, I didn't draw that. I just helped my
Nice.
girlfriend do it.
Well, that's still really good.
that's good. We'll need that when the characters meet you in person. Can everybody see the image of the girl that I just posted up?
It's not dressed like that right now, I'm sure.
She's probably not dressed like that. She's short hair just for you, Dave.
I love this girl already.
Jody says, Gwenaëlle, are you all right? She says as she's looking at you. So Jody snaps her finger in front of you and said, Gwenaëlle, did you hear a word that I said?
Jody, I am sorry. I was apparently somewhere else.
What else is new? She says. I was trying to tell you that Eveline, is that how you pronounce her name? Eveline?
Yeah, it's very similar to Aveline, actually.
Aveline? I can
It's
call
like
her
it's like Eveline, like
Eveline.
it's like the French version of Aveline, which is actually already a French name. It's
Eveline.
French.
She says, I was trying to tell you that Senior Enchanter Eveline just came back from Redcliffe.
Huh?
Did you want to go visit her?
Of course. Let's go.
Sure. As you guys are walking through the tower, Jody's sort of... she looks really excited because she's also very fond of Senior Enchanter Eveline. And she's been gone for probably a couple weeks or so. It's hard to tell, really. Time in the Circle of Magi, every day just seems like any other day, and so it's really hard to keep track of days, weeks, months that pass by. And she turns to you, so it happened again, didn't it?
What are you referring to in particular?
Oh, come on, Gwaine. I saw it in your eyes. The voices.
It happens again.
This is like the third time this week.
I do not know what is going on. Even before, when he was still around, it was different. Or at least, I think it was.
Well, it's a good thing that Eveline was able to make sure that you didn't get turned tranquil on the spot once we found out about those voices.
That would have been bollocks.
No. Do you know what it is?
No, but perhaps we can finally find out more with Eveline's help.
You don't think... She sort of pauses for a moment. You really don't think it's... She sort of looks around and says, you know what, do you? You kind of gather that what she was about to say was the word demon.
Yeah. I do not think it is. After the harrowing, I did have a few run-ins with demons, but I could not say for sure. I am still too inexperienced. If it is, I do not know what I will do.
You guys finally reach Senior Enchanter Eveline's office, and walking out from it is a Templar that, unfortunately, you're very familiar with. It's Dominic Van Rees. Dominic Van Rees was the one who accompanied Senior Enchanter Eveline to Redcliffe, and he's just leaving her chamber right this moment. As he comes out, his eyes meets yours, and normally when your eyes meet, it's normally met with a lot of contempt. But he doesn't say anything. He just stands there, and you're sort of at odds with each other, staring at each other. Do you do anything, say anything, as he just stands there?
Salut.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Out of character?
Salut.
What
It's
is that?
pretty much hello.
Hello. He nods. He nods, but doesn't respond. At this point, Jody's sort of looking between the two of you, back and forth, and says, "Okay, well, if you would excuse us, please, Sir Dominic, we just wanted to go see Senior Enchanter Eveline, if that's quite all right with you." She looks a little nervous. Dominic, again, doesn't say anything, sort of upturns his nose a little bit, and then he walks off.
Sorry, how Elysian.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's so Elysian.
Yes. You guys walk in, and you're greeted with some of the very sweet smells of the flowers that Senior Enchanter Eveline keeps in her office. So she is a spirit healer, but she doesn't only rely on the abilities of magical healing. She also does a lot of studying with herbology and other alchemical means of coming up with ways to heal various illnesses, heal various wounds. So her lab is sort of disheveled, is full of different plants, different components, all strewn about. It's very disorderly, but it's got a very cozy feel to it. And right now, Senior Enchanter Eveline is rummaging through her bookshelf, like looking through books, picking one up, flipping through pages, tossing one aside, picking up another book, flipping through pages, tossing it aside, and she's like, "Where in the maker's name is that thing?" What do you do when you enter? Senior Enchanter Eveline is right over here.
Hey, what the sort is going on here? You seem afraid.
She stops what she's startled, stops what she's doing, she turns around, and as soon as she sees the both of you, she gives you a very warm smile. And she says, "Ha! I thought I would see the two of you in my office soon enough." She walks towards you, and she asks, "How have been things at the circle while I've been gone?" And Jody says, "Oh, Boring, as usual. Probably more exciting. I mean, you're the one who actually got to leave this Maker-forsaken place. Why? Jody then asks her, why exactly did you leave? It must have been really important if the Knight Commander allowed you to.
Jody, I'm sure she cannot tell us that.
Senior Enchanter Eveline sort of chuckles and says, she's right, it is circle business, but it's not really anything that you should be too concerned about. And Jody's ever the most curious person in the world. Her ears sort of perked up, and she says, well, if it isn't really that important, then maybe you could give us a little bit of a hint? Maybe? Senior Enchanter Eveline kind of sighs and says, there's been an epidemic of sorts in Redcliffe. I was requested by Arl Eamon to investigate. Apparently there's been a very odd illness, pox-like, she says. I can see David grinning right now. Pox-like, she says. He's like, this is something in my backstory. She says, they haven't been able to find a way to cure this epidemic through conventional means, and therefore I was specifically requested to try to find a cure with magical means. And Jody, ever bright as she is, she says, but there's a circle in Ferelden, so why would they bother asking for your help all the way here in Orlais? Senior Enchanter Eveline says, well, there might have been some other ulterior motives behind me coming to Redcliffe. She says, I'm not really supposed to divulge too much, but very important individual there happens to be my cousin. How important? Jody asks. The wife of the Arl himself, Isolde, she says. Wait, she says, your cousin is the wife of the Arl in Redcliffe? Jody looks very impressed. At that point, Senior Enchanter Eveline says, we're not particularly close. We don't really talk, especially since I was brought here to the circle at a very young age, she says. However,
families in mage blood do not mix.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Gwaine?
This makes me think of my family.
Senior Enchanter Eveline nods in understanding, and she says, I took it upon myself, she said, to bring a little something as a gift for my cousin. She says, something to help in case the worst happens. She sort of points towards a corner, and where there used to be a statue, there was this very beautiful, glistening statue about yay high that used to be in that corner, in the shape of Andraste, and it's missing. It's not there anymore. Jody says, your totem. Out of character, this totem is something that that Senior Enchanter Eveline claims is enchanted to ward off illnesses and sicknesses. It sort of keeps a household safe from fatal illnesses. And it had absolutely beautiful, made of absolutely beautiful metal that you have never seen before. And when you had first asked about it, Senior Enchanter Eveline explained that the statue was made of star metal. At that point, she understood. At that point, Jody understood. Then Senior Enchanter Eveline says, one more thing, she says, as she wipes her brow. She starts perspiring, but she wipes her brow and she pulls out what appears to be a letter, and she hands it to Gwen. She says, on my way back, I ran into your mother, of all people. She said she was on her way to the post to try to send a letter to you, and Jody kind of chuckled, and she's apparently your mother has no idea that you can't just send letters to the Circle of Magi because the whole keeping the family ties cut. Your mother's not the brightest of people. But she said, Senior Enchanter Eveline says, just this once, I thought that I would at least help her out a little bit. She seemed very distraught, and so she hands you the letter. What do you do with it? Do you take the letter?
Yeah, he takes the letter and looks at it.
Jody kind of stares at you and says, are you going to open it?
I'm getting to it. He opens it.
He opens it?
Yes.
All right. The letter reads, oh, my dearest son, life back home simply isn't the same without you. Everything is here so awful, so dreadful. Yesterday, I was at your Aunt Beatrice's, and her servant accidentally discolored her emerald green gown in the wash. Can you believe it? She has all those beautiful shoes, and the dress simply doesn't match with any of them anymore. Such a shame, the poor dear. Make her help her if she has to borrow something for next Sunday's services. Yeah, at this point, you kind of skip reading. You skip about a little bit, and you read something about how some slattern Lady Dullan said this and said that. And then you skip over to the very end, and it says, your father and I miss you so very much. Stay out of trouble now. Oh, and do try to get out in the sun a little more, dear. I think some color in your pasty cheeks would do you some good. Signed, your mother. Jody, of course, was reading the letter over your shoulder, and you can smell the sweet smell of her hair as she's doing this. And she sort of chuckles and says, right, get some sun, because us mages are able to see the sun very often.
We do get the occasional trip out to the garden, but that is more of a small area.
At that point, Senior Enchanter Eveline starts coughing. While you're reading the letter, she sort of gained this really disturbing chronic cough. And all of a sudden, you see her pull out a handkerchief as she coughs into it, and the handkerchief is soaked in blood. At that point, she looks very dizzy, and she collapses. Next, who rolled initiative? Looks like Lucky Jack. Okay, Lucky Jack.
Oh, I thought it was Charlie. Yeah, he rolled 15.
He rolled better than it.
I'm all nervous.
Lucky Jack.
Hey, can I, Hut?
Yes.
For future reference to that things, I actually kind of like what you did with the mother on that, because I couldn't think of what happened to her, but she was a former knight of Ferelden, so, but she kind of got a little bit messed up in the head after all the tragedy, and I had imagined she kind of either threw herself into quiet or something. But I liked but I actually kind of like this because I could see her throwing herself into being a normal noble, because it's easy being that way.
It's a defense mechanism. I think it's a defense mechanism for her.
But all right, I just want to make sure you remember that she was a former knight.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Lucky Jack, you have been summoned once again by Kane. He wishes to speak to you because he has a very important mission for you.
Alright.
Now, you know that Kane... We are in Kirkwall, by the way.
Yes.
I'm throwing an image of Kane up so everyone can see.
There he is.
There he is.
That hair.
I love the hair.
Indeed.
Fabulous hair.
Yes. You know that Kane holds a base of operations of sort at the Blooming Rose, which is the brothel at Kirkwall. Fitting. You go over to the brothel, and it's pretty much what you would expect. There are various clientele all about. The room smells of really gaudy incense. You pass by a few attendants, one of whom you're not really sure if it's a man or a woman, and you seek out the owner of the Blooming Rose, Madame Lucine. Madame Lucine is relatively, I would say, in her early 30s, late 20s, and you approach her, and she turns to see you, and she says, "Ah, you're late." She reaches down into her chest and pulls out a key. She hands you the key and says, "Quickly, get to work now. The kitchen floor needs mopping." Now, you know that this is all just a ruse. This is all just
Code
part of
phrases
the...
and
Yeah, it's all part of the method of gaining access to Kane's base of operations.
Yeah.
So you take the key and you go over, walk down the hallway past various rooms that are providing noises of various nature. And you approach what appears to be a broom closet. Take out the key, you unlock the broom closet, you go inside, and there's various cleaning utensils there, mops and dustpans and other things. But then you shut the door behind you, and you sort of get down on your hands and knees, and you knock on what appears to be a very specific discolored floorboard. You knock twice, you knock 3 times, and then you knock twice again. After a few seconds, you hear a click, and a trap door opens up next to you. You climb down, and you recognize one of Kane's bodyguards who had opened the door for you. He nods as you pass by. Kane basically has created a sort of a small bachelor pad, I guess you could call it, at the basement of the Blooming Rose. You go over into his office. Again, his office is quite a bit of a mess. There's papers and documents all over the place. But he's very excited to see you. How do you pronounce your name, Lucky Jack?
Leoden.
Leoden?
Leoden.
Leoden.
Hang on just a second.
Kane says, "Leoden, my boy, thank you so much for coming at such a short notice. Here, have a seat. Can I get you something to drink? Wine, whiskey, brandy?" You
no,
are
nothing.
of drinking age, are you now, boy?
I've been for a while, but never felt the need for that, I'm afraid. Thank you,
All right. He sits down and says, "Well then, let's get to business. I have a very interesting proposal for you. A job that will pay very well." Kane pulls out what appears to be a strange-looking key. Roll a... what would this be? Roll a cultural lore check, which is basically a 3d6 plus whatever your cunning is.
Alrighty.
Unless you have a focus. I don't think you have a focus on cultural lore.
No, I do not, so I'll just be cunning.
We are all ignorant of each other's cultures.
There they go. Up.
The value is, sorry,
8.
8. All right. You're not sure what that is.
Nah.
Which is the next question that Kane asks. Do you know what this thing is, my boy?
Can't say that I've seen a key of that sort before, I'm afraid, sir.
This is the key to a dwarven vault, a security box of, if you will, in Orzammar. I need you... Let me check my notes just to make sure I got this right. I need you to travel to Orzammar. One of the Hightown nobles wishes for something to be retrieved from her personal security box there in the vaults. Apparently, she can't be bothered of going through the trouble of fetching it herself. So she asked us to do it for a pretty penny, might I say. Or a pretty copper, as they would say. He hands you the key. Have you ever been outside of the walls of Kirkwall, my dear boy?
I've heard of what lies outside of Kirkwall, but I believe this is your first assignment. You sent me out here now.
Ah, well then, it should be a great adventure for you. I have the highest hopes for you, my boy. Do you think you can do this mission for us?
Absolutely.
Excellent, excellent. He pours himself another drink and takes a swig. Well, I recommend that you probably should run along and say goodbye to your parents or whatnot. Report back here as soon as you can with whatever you find in that box.
Yes.
All right. You leave. What do you do? Before you leave, I guess, what do you do? Before you leave Kirkwall, what do you do?
I go
Quick
back.
question, by the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is your character actually Kunari then? Like
Yes.
horns and everything?
The
Or-
horns were removed growing up.
We're cut off.
I
And I'm assuming...
typically have like a headgear or some hat on to cover where they would be.
Right. Are you, like, cloaked in any way? Like, I'm assuming you sort of try to keep a low profile. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Typically have a cloak over my head.
So...
I was wondering about that.
The horns never grow back. I don't believe so.
That
I
sucks.
don't believe they grow back after you cut them.
I don't think they do either.
Nah.
So
That
anyway, any
sucks.
passerby who's not paying attention would just consider him just a regular human being walking amongst the city of Kirkwall. So
I
you try
still
to
looking human.
yes. You return back home, and you see your mother greets you and says, "There you are, dear. Dinner's almost ready." Do you say anything to her, or?
I say thank you, Mother. You've been very kind to me all this time.
She looks at you weird and says, "That's a rather odd thing to say."
I am afraid that I may be leaving Kirkwall for a time.
She stops stirring what was in the pot in front of her. Looks very nervous, and then she takes a washcloth and dries her hands. She puts the washcloth down, turns to you, and says, "For how long? Why?"
A friend has asked a favor of me, and I would like to show him my respect to repay the favor, and he has asked me to leave Kirkwall to help him retrieve something, at which point I will make hasty return here.
But it's dangerous out there, especially people won't understand. She basically is saying that you being what you are, she's concerned for you, and she then says, you've never left the city of Kirkwall in your entire life, not since we brought you here.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not a boy any longer, and pretending that this is not going to happen is not going to happen. Let it go away. I would rather face it up front and get it over with. If people will not understand, let them.
She looks like she's about to say something in protest, but then she stops, realizing, taking in consideration what you say, and she pretty much figures, based on the look in her face, that nothing that she says is going to make you change your mind. So she sighs and says, "Well then, we better use the good dishware then for tonight. You have your meal with your parents. Your father looks very upset, but he doesn't say anything. She apparently broke the news to him And later that evening, as you're packing, there's a knock on the door. When you open it, you see that your mom and dad are standing there, and they asked if they could come in.
Of course, please.
Your father says, "Son, I'm going to ask you just this once. Is there really nothing that we can say that will change your mind?"
I'm afraid not. But please know that this is of no fault of yours at all.
Your father nods. "There's something, son, that we need to tell you. Something that your mother and we weren't really sure when would be the right time, but under the circumstances, we thought it would be appropriate, and we hope that you don't think ill of us because of it."
I could never think ill of you.
"Son, when we found you, when you were only an infant, we found this around your neck." And he opens up a box, and inside looks like some sort of talisman. The talisman has some really strange markings on it that you can't really decipher. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing about the talisman, it looks like it's been cracked in half, like there's another piece to it.
Oh.
And he says, "This was found around your neck. Your mother and we were trying to figure out what exactly this was. It appeared to be magical in nature, but every single person that we asked was not able to determine what exactly it was. We never showed it to you because we were worried that you would leave us," your mom said. This might be a clue as to where the rest of your tribe went, and it was wrong of us to not show it to you until now. It's just, well, you're our son. No matter what everyone says, you're our son, and we just didn't want to lose you."
I understand. And I thank you both very much for sharing this with me.
The father takes your hand, and he clasps the amulet into it, and he says, "May the Maker watch over you, son." And he gives you a very strong hug. And your mom starts tearing up, starts to weep, and she joins in with the group hug as well.
I know he will, as you both have from me all my life. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Shally's next.
Oh, jeez.
That was an emotional.
Bear in mind...
I wanted to shed a tear.
I'm sorry.
Bear in mind that these events are not necessarily happening in parallel. They're not necessarily happening in chronological order. So.
Well, this is awesome so far. This is
just going in initiative order.
Yes. Shally, you are...
The time warp again.
Shally, you are in Redcliffe. Currently, you are staying with Lady Annabelle Stroud. I love this character.
I love her too.
Here she is.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting.
She is an elderly woman, an elderly noble woman, who is starting to grow a little senile, just a little.
Oh.
And you hear her. You're at her manor right now, and you hear her calling out, "Ephraim, Ephraim, where are you? Ephraim!"
This again. Alright, I'm coming.
You find her in the living room, her giant spectacles looking you up and down, and says, "Oh, there you are, Ephraim." Ephraim, by the way, is not Shally's character. Ephraim is her late husband's name, who died like 5 years ago. The woman says, Ephraim, have you returned yet? Have you come back?
Oh.
You're right standing in front of her, and she's asking you if you've come back.
Yes, I've returned.
Well, where is it then? Where is it? Quickly. I need it for my breakfast.
Reach into his pocket and pull out something random. Here you go.
She looks at it and she says, "Oh, Maker, this is not what I asked for. We need more milk. We've run out of milk, Ephraim.
Okay.
Could you please go over to the Mastersons' farm? It needs to be the Mastersons' farm because any other milk that I get over at the marketplace always gives me gas. You know that."
I do know that. I know too much. I'll go get it.
Thank you so much, my love. Oh, I don't know what I would do without you. And with that, the woman like hobbles away. If you wouldn't know any better, you'd think she might run into a wall or something. She's a little blind. Blind as a bat at times. But for some reason, by sheer miracle, she happens to be able to pass through a doorway right before your eyes. You make your way over to the Masterson farm, who is at the outskirts of Redcliffe. And as you approach the farm, there is a little boy with red hair playing outside. He's got a sword, like a wooden sword, and he's swinging it around. And he's making all these sounds like, "Yah! Yah! Back I say! Back I say!" Swinging his sword. What do you do?
Who are you fighting?
He turns his sword towards you and says, "Halt! Who goes there?"
Just here to get some milk, kid.
He says, "Are you a bandit? Have you come here to steal our cows?"
Where would I put a cow?
The boy kind of tilts his head, and then he kind of shrugs. And he says, "I don't know. Are you going to steal it anyway?"
What am I going to do? Get on and ride off into the sunset?
At that point, the boy stops laughing. "Silly, you can't ride cows."
You haven't seen me ride a cow.
The boy looks impressed. And at that point, you see the father, Mr. Masterson, come out from the farmhouse. And he says, "Jory, Jory, Jory, could you please stop? Stop bothering the elven servant," he says. Those of you at home, yes, it's that Jory. Jory came from Redcliffe.
Adorable.
He's probably about 5 years old at this point. What do you do? How do you pronounce your name, Shally, again?
Dullan.
Dullan. What does Dullan do?
Sighs heavily at the mere mention of servant, and walks over. "Yeah, I'm here for the crazy old hag. I need milk."
Again, I see.
Again. She's got
All right.
like 40 buckets of it. I don't know what she's doing with it. Just...
She walks into the storage room and can't
Mr.
find
Masterson nods, and he motions you to follow him. "Ooh, can I come too, Dad? Can I come too?" Jory said, "Yes." He said, "You can come." Jory says, "Good. I'll make sure that no bandits or dragons try to attack us on the way to the barn." At that point, Mr. Masterson sort of rolls his eyes, humors him, and says, "I'm sure we'll be perfectly safe going to the barn, son."
I don't know. Last Tuesday I heard something sounded kind of like a dragon.
At that point, Jory turns to you and says, "A dragon? Where? Did it breathe fire?"
I only heard it.
Ooh. That really gets Kim really excited. But eventually, thank the maker, you end up at the barn. And at that point, Mr. Masterson takes out a jug, goes over to one of the cows, and he starts milking. During this time, his wife arrives. And she says, Dagon, you won't believe it, Dagon. The Smithsons, they've been stricken by the pox as well. The Dagon doesn't really seem to be paying much attention because he's very focused on what she's doing. And his wife says, Dagon, did you hear what I said? We need to move out of here. This epidemic is swallowing the city alive. We have to do what we can to protect our family. Dagon says, not right now, Martha. We can't, I think you're being a little paranoid here. Then Martha looks towards you, Delwyn?
Yeah.
Delwyn? She turns to you and she says, who is this man, Dagon? And Dagon says, oh, this is Lady, you remember him. This is Lady, what's her name again? Annabelle Stroud's servant elf. And the wife looks at you and says, of course the nobles can have the good-looking servants. Oh, I'm so sorry, she says. Forgive me for saying that, dear. Take it as a compliment. Really?
I always do.
At this point, we will now move on, finally, to David. Max. David, you are in Denerim. You are a guardsman, and you're about to report to your patrol in the marketplace. On the way there, you hear the familiar sound calling you. Let me pull out the character.
And yeah.
Yes, you're here. The voice calls out and says, there you are, Waxy Maxy. Waxy Maxy is sort of Plim Cornstead's nickname for you. You can decide if you like the nickname or not.
Please, Plim. I've told you 1,000 times. It's Maximilian, not Max, not anything else. It sounds like a dog.
And I told you 1,000 times, my brother. You're not really brothers, but he just calls you that. And I've told you 1,000 times, my brother, that I don't like formalities.
Yeah, well, that's your problem.
Oh, come on. What? He gives you a very thoughtful look and says, well, somebody got up at the wrong side of the bed this morning. What's the matter with you?
I'm a guardsman in Denerim, and doesn't matter. What did you want?
I just wanted to ask if you were coming out with the guys tonight to play cards.
Well, that didn't turn out so well last time, you know.
It did actually turn out very well. You cleaned me out fair and square.
Yeah, but no one likes me anymore. No.
Oh, come on, that's not true. That barmaid, Lucinda, I think was her name, seemed to like you.
I don't know.
Oh, come on, I can try to introduce her. She seems really sweet.
No,
I'm sorry, go ahead, David.
Yeah, I'm just stuttering at this point.
Roll a what's like streetwise or local
Cunning.
Just roll a cunning roll.
There's also communication like etiquette or something. But
Right.
yeah,
I think it's more of a just roll a
Cunning
cunning
head.
roll
Yeah.
for me. Yeah. 3d6 plus
1.
13. You know that Lucinda is also married.
And Plim, you know, I appreciate you trying to set me up with all these women. Like, this is like the 5th time. But isn't she married?
Oh, she is. He sort of looks a little embarrassed. Eek.
Yeah.
Well, there's other fish in the sea. You shouldn't give up.
Look, let's just drop it, all right? maybe one day, but I can't be bothered. Please.
All right. Well, the other reason why I was looking for you is because I wanted to give you this. He pulls out a pouch, and he hands it to you. Here's the 20 silver pieces that I owed you from the last game. Now, one thing out of character, David, that you should know is that when you guys played last in cards, Plim said that you cleaned them out. After all of the guys had left, the barmaid, Lucinda, approached you, and she basically said, by the way, it's not necessarily my place to say, but she basically tells you that Plim lied to you. He had a winning hand, and he let you win that last game to clean him out. He let you win. And she basically says, but you didn't hear that from me. So here's Plim, and he's handing you these 20 silver pieces that he owes you.
Yeah. So I like grab this and look at it, and I'm like, you know what? I got a raise last month, so why don't you keep it just for now?
Plim says, he looks really confused, and he says, No. You won this from me fair and square. I'm not keeping this. This is all yours, man.
I'm like clenching my teeth.
You said so yourself. He said you're a man of rules and law, and the rules say you get to keep this. You won it fair and square.
No, I did not. I like approach him. Look, I don't need your help. I can manage on my own. All right?
Plim is taken aback, and he looks a little hurt. I've no idea what you're talking about. This isn't charity. This is just me completing my end of the bargain with our card game, a friendly card game.
Which would be all right if you were honest about it. Look, I know. All right? You don't have to pretend anymore.
He sighs. Look, he sort of, rubs his eyes a little bit, which he does a lot when he's frustrated, and he says, all right, I'm sorry. You're right. You got me. I'm sorry. It's just, when you told me last time that you didn't want to come out and play with us because that was the anniversary of your mother's passing, I felt bad for you. Okay, I just wanted to cheer you up. Is that such a crime? Is that such a crime? Because if it is such a crime, then go call a guard. Oh wait, he says as soon as he says that.
Plim, I know you mean well. All right, I know. It's been tough. It's been, yourself. I've been thinking about my mother a lot, and this isn't helping right now, all right? Don't take it personally, okay? I'm having a real bad day.
He nods. He sighs. And then he places a firm grip on your shoulder and gives it a very strong pat and says, We'll see you later tonight, hopefully.
All right, let's go, big guardsman, all right?
All right. You go off into to your post.